Ontario peaches are in season. And there is nothing like the smell of a fresh peach in season. And so I've been eating as many of them as I can get my hands on. So, yeah, peaches. What is it, Kitten Stitcher? I believe it was Kitten Stitcher she started. Things I'm All Into. Was that the name of it? And then Heidi Cran, Stitching 1 over 2, she does it as well. Things I'm All Into. I'm all into the smell of a fresh Ontario peach and then eating said peach because it is the most delicious thing in the world. So, you know, today is one of those days where it's already 3:30 and I have been just sort of fumbling around through my day. Just one of those days, a little out of sorts. Nothing's wrong, nothing's really wrong. Just, you know, if I could just put my pajamas back on and go back to bed and pull the covers over my head and go back to sleep and wake up tomorrow. It's just kind of one of those days, really. You know, the bear situation right now at the moment is kind of bumming me out. You know, I am not afraid of the bear. Okay, I know when I discussed the situation about the situation that happened on the back deck, that for me was a frightening moment when it happened. Hearing the cub bawl for its mother, that was an anxious moment because, you know, my son was afraid. And, you know, when your kids are afraid and there's a situation that's happening like that, in the moment, it's anxiety inducing. But I am not sitting around in my cottage afraid for my life. But the bear situation is not getting any better. The bear situation, the mother bear with the 2 cubs. And I think we're in an unusual situation here. And I've discussed this before because we're on a 75-acre island. There are 6 cottages on this island. 4 of them are inhabited. 1 of them sporadically so, but still, the one that's sporadically so, we're not quite sure who's in it. It might be renters, it might be the people who own it. We're not sure because we don't really know them all that well. And I think they're renters. And we're not quite sure whether, you know, they're used to life up here. Are they leaving garbage out? Are they composting outside? I don't know. We have, you know, we're pretty sure that I heard their air horn go off yesterday. So they obviously know how to deal with a bear, I think. And then, you know, shortly after we heard the air horn go off on one end of the island, 20 minutes later, I heard 3 gunshots go off on the other end of the island. And, you know, people up here, some people up here have hunting rifles, and we do know who shot off the gun, and they were warning shots over the head of the bear. It was the mother bear, and 3 warning shots over her head, and they were not very effective. They didn't really startle or scare her because she doesn't understand what they are. She doesn't understand that that's, you know, going to kill her if she continues. They don't, you know, she's maybe never even heard gunfire in her life. It did get her to go away because it was a loud, startling noise. But whether gunshots are any different than, you know, banging a pot and pan with a wooden spoon, or, you know, ringing a bell really loud and shouting and waving your arms to get the bear away from your cottage, whether that's any different than gunshots, I don't know. But anxiety levels of people is starting to ramp up because these things are starting to, you know, it's not, I guess she's getting used to them, right? She's getting a little bit more bold. And when there's only 4 cottages on the island that have food in them, and there's not a lot of other food on the island, and the other islands that are around here are smaller, you know, like tiny, there's nowhere for her to go. There's nowhere, there's no other food. So it's kind of an all-around upsetting situation. Nobody's happy about it. And we're all still kind of, waiting. I think waiting. The bear at the marina, Oak Creek Marina, the one that broke in and ate all the ice cream out of the ice cream case and then came back, broke in again, and ate all the fat out of the deep fryer. Well, he came back and broke in 3 more times, and they had to euthanize the bear. So we're not at that stage. Our bear is still quite afraid, and we've only got a couple more weeks to go. And then, we have spoken with a couple of the First Nations people who live there near the marina, and they live with this. They respect how to treat big wildlife. And the one gentleman that we spoke to, he said, it's kind of an upsetting situation, but just be careful, and chances are that pretty soon she'll move on and start looking for her winter ground. So that's what we're hoping for. But anxiety levels are starting to ramp up, and when you have people who have rifles who are anxious, that frankly makes me a little more anxious than the bear. So, it is what it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna smell my peach, and I'm gonna look at my whips, and I'm gonna sit and stitch, and I'm not gonna put my compost outside, and I'm gonna make sure that there's no garbage outside, and I'm gonna make sure that, things are taken care of and that I'm doing all I can do. It's all you can do. So, anywho, Ontario peaches, folks. I hide them well so that they don't give off a scent. Anyway, it's time for Flosstube and stitching and all kinds of pretty happy things. I had a fantastic weekend. I went away for the weekend and I spent the whole weekend with my girlfriends, and it was a weekend of laughter and crafting and sitting by the water and talking and just having a great time. So I was just blown away by what a great time we had. Now, our hostess, Tracy, who had invited us all to her cottage, she had little gifts for us when we arrived. And I wanted to share just a couple of them with you because I thought they were really just so sweet. She'd wrapped up some little mini skeins of leftover sock yarn from socks that she had made, and she had personalized them to each of us so that we received our favorite colors, because she knows our favorite colors. And she gifted us each one of these, which was so sweet. And I'm super excited to use this as heels and toes for a pair of socks. So I think what I'm going to do is maybe do the cuff and then a few stripes with a tonal, and then maybe the toe as well. And I think that would be super fun. There's just enough yarn there to do that. Super cute. She also put in this little bag of, ooh, crinkle, crinkle. Everything good is in a little crinkly package, isn't it? This is a bag of dark chocolate. Yum. And it's made by a company here in Ontario, in Aurora, Ontario, called Fractals. And these are dark handmade chocolate butter crunch fractals. And so they're little broken up pieces of almost like chocolate bark. But, it's kind of neat that they're made right here in Ontario, and that she put them in a little gift baggie for us. It was so sweet. Anyways, had a great time, wonderful time. One of my other friends, Noelle, who was there, is a weaver as well as a knitter and, general all-round amazing crafter. So Noelle, I still can't even believe this. Noelle made each of us, again, each of us has a different one. She made us each our very own tea towel that she wove herself. Isn't that stunning? So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So she wove this on her, she has a rigid heddle loom, and she pre-washed them so that the weaving itself shrunk up nice and tight so it looks neat and tidy, and her weaving is just perfect. She hem stitched the edges, so it's just and then her laundry detergent smells really nice too. It's just a perfect little handmade gift. And she said, oh, they were so easy. Oh, they were so fast. And all I'm thinking is, you know, I have a loom in my house that's been there for 3 years. I still don't know how to use it. So she can say it's easy and fast all she wants, but I still don't know how to do it. So color me super impressed. And I mean, how beautiful is that? Simple and neat and tidy. And then of course she made a perfect little tag to attach. She rolled it up in a beautiful little package, and then she tied a little raffia string around it with this handmade little card. I think I'm gonna do this at Christmas time. Buy a little punch and a stamp for Christmas, because it's just right. Do you know what I mean? It's just right. It's perfect. I love it. So Noelle, I don't know that you watch these videos, but I had to show everybody anyways because it's just gorgeous, and thank you so much. And Tracy, thank you again for having us up this weekend. It was a ton of fun. Okay, so that's everything that I had for show and tell today. Whips, moving right into whips. I worked on 2 projects this week, and I'll talk about the easy one to talk about first, which would be my Shades of Blue, Northern Expressions Needleworks. This is the piece I worked on Friday for the Stitch With Me video. And all I've done since Friday's video is finish the diamond here, and then because I still had some floss left on my needle, I came over here and I started down so that this triangle can be started here. So it's coming along. So if I back up like that, how's that? Like that, nice and straight. Isn't it gorgeous? So that whole top corner now is almost finished. Pretty good progress, you know, for a piece that only sees some love every 6 months or so. Not too bad. I'm thrilled with it. Beautiful. So again, that's Northern Expressions Needlework, Shades of Blue, and I am stitching that on a 40 count white linen with the called for Dinky Dyes silks. I've had a few questions about substitutions for threads for this particular pattern and, you know, other samplers. I'm not sure about the DMC conversion. I have a DMC color chart, but it's at home in London. So if you're still wondering a month from now, ask me again and I'll be able to look that up a little bit more easily. I always think, you know, you should, if you want to convert it to DMC, if you want to convert it to Ada, do it. Use what you love. So if there's 3 shades of blue that you love, they're going to work. And they're going to work for whatever you want to stitch on. There are no quarter stitches in this particular Northern Expressions piece. It would work beautifully on Ada, whatever you like. So that's it for that piece, that whip. The second whip that I worked on, and this one I took with me to the weekend getaway because I knew Adrienne would be there. And Adrienne is very good at figuring things out. It's her birthday also today, by the way, August 20th. So happy birthday, Adrienne. She is a clever, clever girl. And so, and also she's the one who gave me this pattern. So I figured it was only fair that she helped me figure out how to do it. She has this one as well. She gifted this one to myself and our friend Tracy. So the 3 of us have the pattern, and I actually think that I'm the first one who started it. So I guess I should show you what it is. This was my high tea start from the end of June. So this is Dinky Dyes and Glendon Place collaboration called Mixed Berry Cheesecake. I am pretty positive that this was a limited edition kit, and it was put out in 2013. These are not sold new anymore. You can't find these, but I do think that sometimes people have had luck finding them on eBay. Probably because of why I'm going to explain to you what I had to do to figure it out, what Adrian had to do to figure it out. That's probably why they're up for sale, because it was a little tricky to understand, and I wasn't exactly sure that I was doing it right. And then I was really afraid I was going to mess it up. So even though I had spoken with some people on the Facebook group about what it is, it says at the end, learn how to sequence a fiber with 5 distinct colors. Okay. So sequence a fiber. What the heck does that mean? When I first looked at the pattern originally to bring it up here to start as a high T start, I thought, oh, no problem. It's a regular cross stitch piece, no biggie. And then I opened it up and I read the instructions and I'm like, I don't get it. I don't understand. Because my brain doesn't work that way. People whose brains work easily for maths and sciences won't have any trouble at all figuring this out. My brain does not always work that way. It sort of shuts off and sings a little circus tune instead. So you can imagine. Anyways, Adrian has a working brain for maths and sciences, and she very quickly sorted it out. She said, oh, this is what you do. You do this, this, and this. And it worked. So you can see in the center here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those round parts in the middle. So not the center diamond, but the parts just on the outside of that. They follow a particular color. So you can see here it's dark pink to purple, dark pink to purple, dark pink to purple, and dark pink to purple. Each of these 4 corner spikes do the same thing. They start with a pink and they go to purple. Pink to purple, pink to purple, and so on and so forth. The other spot that uses the color sequence, fiber sequence, are the corners, these 4 corners, okay? So it's lighter to dark, lighter to dark. Okay, so what you had to do, there were 2 skeins of floss that came in the kit. One of them looked like this. And these colors are all separated. So there's a skein of hyacinth, a length of hyacinth, a length of brambleberry, a length of natural, and so on. There are 5 different colors in here, and they're separated. And then there was another skein that was specially dyed, and it had all 5 colors in one skein. So they were all together. So the natural goes into the purple, which goes into the darker purple, okay? And you had to cut it in the right place, okay? So in the directions, it says, now I'm hoping that this helps somebody who has this pattern sitting at home in their stash and they've been waiting to do it because they couldn't figure it out. I am really hoping, that's why I'm doing this. I hope it helps you. And maybe you'll get it out of your stash and enjoy it, because I'll tell you, once you start it, it's so fun. It is so fun. Okay, so you have to cut the thread so that one end of the floss is Mystic Pools, okay? Mystic Pools is this purple one. And it's clear from the instructions which one Mystic Pools is. It's the dark purple. And then you have to then make sure that the length goes from Mystic Pools to Hyacinth to Natural to Kirribilli, which is this one here, all the way over to Brambleberry, okay? And that's where you have your thread cut. So it's a super, super, super long piece of thread, okay? One end is the dark pink, which is the Brambleberry, and the other end is the dark purple, which is the Mystic Pools, okay? And then what you do, it's 2 strands over 2 on, my kit was the linen. I think Adrian has the Ada kit, but it's the same, 2 strands of thread. And you start stitching you do each individual group separately. So this pink to purple, actually, you go, I should say this correctly, because you actually stitch from the purple to the pink, okay? So from the purple to the pink is one of those really long lengths of thread. So when you're starting with your stitching over here with the dark purple, you have a really, really long length of thread. And you stitch this entire center motif with one strand of thread, so that by the time you get to the middle, you're on the natural color. So that's why it looks like there's a space in between, because that's where the X's are that are with the natural color. And then you work your way over here and you end up with that brambleberry pink. By the time you get over here, you've used up your length of floss. That's it. So the only other thing that you have to know in order to do it correctly is that you have to start at the bottom and you work your way one stitch complete cross at a time. You can't do one leg at a time with this. You have to do a complete cross. So you go from the bottom to the top of the row. Then you go over one row from the top of that row and you stitch down. And then you move over one row and you go up, over one row, down, over one row, up. So it's always up, down, up, down. And so that really goes against my natural desire of how to stitch things and not carry thread across the back. You have to carry the floss across the back, excuse me. You have to carry the floss in order for the color to work out, okay? So that's where my confusion was, because I thought surely you can't possibly, have to carry the floss. And I didn't really understand where completely correctly to cut the thread. So I hope that helps somebody else out there who has this pattern in their stash, and maybe now you won't be afraid to start it. So here's where I got to. So I managed to stitch 2 complete motifs. So I started at the top and I started over here and I worked my way over to the pink. And then I started here with the purple and I worked my way up, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth all the way over here to the pink. So these now are complete. I just have to do 2 more. Then I'm going to do that center diamond, which uses the regular floss. And then I'm going to have some fun and do some quick stitching with these bigger sort of things. They look like maple keys. They remind me of maple keys. These little sections right here. So I'm going to stitch those next. So there you go. I hope that was helpful. And if you're not stitching this and you're looking for it, maybe someone has it in their stash and they are willing to sell it. So there you go. Anyways. Okay, so those were the 2 whips that I worked on a fair bit over the past week. Shades of Blue is going away for a little while because I have had a hankering to work on the following. Frederica. Carriage House Samplings. This one, I love everything about it. We are heading into fall. It is starting to cool down a little bit. Touch wood. It's starting to cool down a little bit at night. Those beautiful sleeping temperatures where the breeze kicks in and it's just a little bit cool and chilly in the room and you have to snuggle under the blankets so that you're nice and toasty. That's my favorite. That is just my favorite. So these colors make me think of approaching fall, and I love the design. It has a bird on it. What couldn't I like about this? So here's where I am right now. Just a little bit of the border. I am using a 32 count, what is this? I know it's Picture This Plus. 32 count. It's in the doubloon colorway. And yeah, 32 count. And it's definitely, I think it's an even weave. So 32 count even weave. Here we go with that confusing terminology again. It's not the really slubby linen, but it's got that nice feel to it. So 32 count, and I'm using DMC. All the DMC, not the variegated cotton flosses that are charted, but the DMC conversion. And it's right on the pattern. It was really easy to kit it up. And I think the colors are stunning. They're just beautiful. And I love this particular piece of fabric. I think that bird is going to look beautiful on this. I have the companion piece. In case you've never seen them, this is a set. This is a pair. And if you have a pair, chances are good that I'm going to want it. So Frederick is Frederica's mate. So this is Frederick, right there. And there's his mate, Frederica. I haven't started Frederick yet. I figured I could try to finish one first before I started the other. So we'll see. Anyways, beautiful, beautiful. So that's on deck. And I fully intend to switch her over onto my, my lap frame tonight. And most likely this will be my Friday Stitch With Me project. And that's it. So as far as shop update goes for today, for Evertote, I don't really have a shop update today. I've been working, I've mentioned before, I'm working on a little something for the shop that I'm a little teeny bit excited about. It's not quite ready yet, and I want it to be at a slightly further along stage before I share it with you. A few more ends I have to tie up just yet before I can share it with you. It will most likely be a pre-order situation because, well, it's a long story, but I'm not sure how much more I'm going to be able to get to the post office before I go home back to London, Labor Day. So it's probably going to be a pre-order situation with a 2 to 3 week date out from when I will be mailing them. So my intention is to have a special video about what I've been working on next week, early. I might even do it instead of a Monday Flosstube update. I'm not sure yet. So that's it for Evertote shop update. As far as knitting update goes, for all of those people who have been knitting mittens along with me, guess what? I have a finished mitten. You know what that means? There's a video out there with the thumb. It's coming tomorrow. I have to edit it still. So I will be editing that tomorrow morning, and you can look for the thumb, picking up the stitches for your thumb tomorrow, probably tomorrow evening by the time I get it edited and uploaded. Isn't this cute? So my cute little mitten. In case you're just joining me now, a few months ago I started a series of videos along with Ginger Gerald, teaching him how to knit. So we started with a super simple dishcloth. We learned how to knit with a dishcloth, and if I'm not mistaken, Long Dog Stitcher taught herself how to knit recently using the same tutorials. So it's never too late. They're all sitting there in a playlist from the very beginning. So if, you know, fall is coming, Christmas is coming, if you are maybe thinking that you might like to knit a few dishcloths as a stocking stuffer for a friend or your mom or whatever, they're quite easy to do. I think my instructions are fairly straightforward and easy to follow, and it's quite a fun craft if you've never tried it before. So we worked our way through the dishcloth. We then learned how to knit a hat, and after the hat came mittens. And it has taken me much too long in order to complete the mitten series, but with tomorrow's video, that wraps that up. In September, probably mid to late September, we will be starting a sock tutorial. Louise from Wildflower Wool, who is my friend on the Fiber Friends, she and I will be doing this together. So her pattern is already ready. I'll have some more details for you when it's available on Ravelry. And we will be knitting socks together. We will be doing them on DPNs. I will probably include an extra video in the series for people who would rather knit on a 9-inch circular, because that is my preferred method to knit socks. So I have a funny feeling that I'm going to do 2 videos, one for DPNs and one for a 9-inch circular. And that's coming up. So look tomorrow for the knittin' mitten tutorial, and then you know, Friday off the grid. I cannot wait to sit and stitch and chat with you again. Last week's episode was really fun with people leaving me questions on the Facebook group. So I might post another thing again. We'll see. Might have lots of other things to talk about by then. I usually do. I'm usually not, you know, short on things to say. So that's it. That's it for me. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have some time to yourself to stitch, and happy stitching. I'll see you tomorrow for knitting, and I'll see you on Friday for Friday Off the Grid.